Well, April's here, and normally I should be mowing and doing things outside, but in Ohio, with the weather, it decided it wants to snow. So can't really get much done outside, so I've been trying to do things just to prepare and get everything ready for the summer and the mowing season. And I've had comments on other videos before of, people asking about changing the hydraulic fluid in a Steiner 430 going through the steps. So yesterday I went down and we changed the fluid on my dad's, and I was going to try to make a video when I did it, but a lot of times when you're, undoing drain plugs and I get the fluid all over my hands and trying to operate a camera, it can be quite difficult. And so I figured it'd be easier if I just went through the steps without actually draining it, and then I could go in, a little more in depth on it. I know I've read on forums and stuff, there's a lot of people that, are curious and would like to see a video on this, so I figured with the weather how it is today, I'll go ahead and make this and throw it on and see if it helps. Generally, when you change a fluid on these, the system holds 7 quarts in the front and it holds 6 in the rear casing, but when you drain these, 3 times I've done this, generally speaking, 11 quarts is all it usually takes when you refill because you can't get it all out. What I like to do is buy a case of oil. I get 12 quarts in a case, and then I buy 2 filters. That way, later on down the road, I always have a filter and an extra quart of oil on hand, so when I change the filter, I don't have to go and get it. I just like to keep extras on the shelf. What I've been using is the Amsoil tractor hydraulic fluid. I really like this. The nice thing with the synthetic oil is it does not break down with the heat like the conventional, and unlike the Ventrec and other things that have oil coolers, the Steiner 430 does not. So when you're pushing dirt and pushing these things hard in the summer, climbing hills, etc., that's the worst thing for hydraulic fluid is heat. That's what breaks it down quicker. That's why I like the Amsoil. This is really good stuff. It's going to outlast conventional. You can use what you want. I'm not telling you to use this, but if you want a really good oil to put in here, it's going to last. This is what I recommend. What you'll need for this, a couple basic tools, just some wrenches and sockets. You're going to need a small funnel, smaller end funnel. I'll show you a couple tricks to these because these things, they're a pain in the butt to fill. The neck on them is like just over, maybe not even half an inch. It's a real small neck to fill these in, and it's a pain. So I'll show you the trick that I like to do with the rubber hose. And something else you're going to need is 2 really small, thin drain pans. You can buy these anywhere. I think these are 7 quart. We have 7 quart capacity. They're only a few bucks each. I like keeping them on hand, especially for things like this with this tractor because it sits so low to the ground. So you're going to need 2 small drain pans. And I'm going to go through the steps of how you would do it per the Steiner recommendation in their books, and this is how I've always done it, and I hope this helps. All right, I'm going to go through the steps real quick here. Just an overview real fast on how to do this, but one more thing I'd like to add. I'm going to write down the full steps out of the Steiner book on everything that I've just told you on how to do. So click the description below and I'll have it all typed in, so if you guys want to screenshot that to your phone, so after you watch the video and sort of see what I'm talking about and how to do it, then you can just bring it up on your phone and go through the steps that way if it makes it easier for you. Okay, so before you get started, it's good to get the tractor out, drive it around a little bit, get the fluid moving. You don't have to have it super hot, but just get the fluid good and warmed up, helps everything drain better, and don't get it to the point where you're mowing your grass with it, working it to where it's going to burn you, but it is good to get the fluid nice and warm. Then you'll come to the back, and here's where you check your fluid. It's got the little dipstick, and this is where you also add it in the rear. You remove this plug, you pull this out, and then when you pull that out, the very next step is to pull the drain plug on the rear differential. So right there's the plug for the drain plug. You'll remove that and start to drain the rear one first. As you can see, that's what makes these pans nice, because you don't really have a whole lot of room to put anything bigger underneath here when you drain these. So once you get that draining, we'll go on to the the rear transaxle is draining in the pan, and while that's draining, you come up front, and here's your transaxle vent. Now the next step is you open this vent up, and then once you open the vent on this, and you leave that open, you climb down underneath, and you pull the plug on the front transaxle, which this one you need a socket with a small extension because it's up underneath this skid plate, the drain plug for this one. And they're sort of difficult because to get your hand in there with the pan, a lot of times you have to pull the plug then slide the pan underneath it, so you're probably going to get some oil on the floor. So after you have the vent open, you go underneath and that one starts draining. It says approximately, you let about a quart, which more than a quart's going to drain out of that by the time you get up here. When that's draining, then you come up here after it drains at least a quart and you remove the cap for the fill cap for the front. And on the Kubota gas like my dad's, that vent's over here for the hydraulic transaxle vent, and the canister for the coolant, you'll have to loosen up the strap and pull it up a lot of times to be able to get to that fill tube in there also. Okay, now you got both transaxle pans underneath there. They're draining, doing their thing. You come over to the other side of the tractor, and you take the hydraulic filter and you remove this. You remove the hydraulic filter, make sure that the gasket's still on the filter, that it doesn't stick up there. I clean everything up around the neck in that unit really well, and then I take a new filter and I fill it. It will almost hold just over 3/4 of a quart of oil. So I fill my new filter with new oil. You don't have to get it completely full, but you want as much in there as you can. And then you can just go ahead and reinsert the filter back on there. Tighten it up, but you definitely don't want to over tighten it. I mean, you don't have to really put it on there hard. But once you fill that with oil while they're draining, since the filter's, you know, upside down on here, the fluid's not going to go anywhere. Now you got the new filter on. Next step is you pull your pans and you reinsert the drain plug in the front transaxle, and then you reinsert the drain plug in the rear transaxle. Now, the filler tube cap on the rear, you leave that open. You'll take your funnel and you'll put almost 6 quarts of oil in the front transaxle. So once you put your plugs in, you get your funnel out, take about 6 quarts. I usually put the first 4 or 5 in pretty quickly, and then the last one, you'll notice it doesn't drain as quick, so it'll almost hold 6 quarts. So when you get to that 6th one, just go slow and, you know, make sure that it'll take the oil. And then once you get this one full to where it's, you know, coming out of here, it won't take no more oil, you reinsert the cap on here and then you close your transaxle vent. So put the cap back on and then close the transaxle vent. Okay, and once you got the front one full, you'll come back here to the rear and you'll fill this one. Like I said, this one usually takes just about 5, roughly. Usually by the time you fill it up with the 4th, you'll have to put the plug back on, start the tractor up, and go through the routine of purging it, and then you could put the last one in. Now this is the trick here I was telling you with the funnel. This isn't the right size hose. I lost the one that went to this, but you got to get about a 1-inch rubber hose. And the problem is the filler neck there on these is only about this big. So this funnel won't fit in there. It drips all around. So the easiest way I found to do this, and especially having this 3-point hitch on here, you can see a funnel's not going to go in there straight. What I like to do is get about a 1-inch rubber hose, and this will slide over that nipple where that cap screws on, and then the 1-inch hose slides over my funnel real tight, and then it gives you the flexibility to be able to pour and hold, you know, and hold the funnel. Like I said, these are a pain in the ass to fill. I'm not going to lie. I wish they would have put a bigger neck on these, and they just fill really slow. If you do it, you'll see what I'm talking about. The rubber hose trick on the end of a funnel like this, okay, so you get the fluid in there to where it won't accept no more. Then what you do is you put the cap back on the rear, you take the tractor, and then you'll start the tractor up, sit on it, and you'll move the steering wheel all the way to the right as hard as you can, back and forth to the left extreme. Just keep doing that. Take your lifts lift your bucket or the attachment lever up and down, and then take the tractor and go forwards and backwards about 50 feet, back and forth a few times, and then shut it off. And then once you shut it off, give it a couple minutes, and then come back here and then check your fluid level. Usually after you do that, you get the rest of the fluid in the filter, you purge the air out of there, and then you can add some more oil, usually around a quart. But then just fill this up a little bit and put the cap back on it. Start the tractor back up like I said, move the steering to the left, the right, move your auxiliaries back and forth, and then you just keep doing that until you get the recommended amount of oil on the dipstick in there, and you're good to go. It's really not a hard job to do this. It's quite easy. Depending on the oil you buy in the filters, you could probably do this even using the Amsoil. I think the Amsoil for a case, offhand, I don't know, $130 or 120 something. It was about $11 a quart, and then you got your filter costs. So doing it yourself is definitely more inexpensive than taking to somebody, and you can do this in an hour and 15 minutes at most, just taking your time. So, all right, I hope I didn't go too fast with the steps in this video. I tried to make it as simple and go slow and explain things as best I can. Like I said, I was reading other forum sites and stuff, and people were really wanting a video on how to do this. Like I said, it's quite simple to do. It's very easy as long as you follow the steps like Steiner recommends. There's not a whole lot of videos on the 430s out there really to do this stuff, so that's why I try to make these for, you know, people that question and comment. If there's other things you guys would like to see, go ahead and comment below. I try to answer all the questions and comments that I can, and in the future, if I know how to do it to the tractor, if it's something that I can do, I'll go ahead and try to make a video on it. If you like seeing this thing be used and, you know, other tractors, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell for new videos that are upcoming. Thanks for watching.